Welcome.
hmm Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Do you both have the document for this morning just to follow along and jump in when you want?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have it open. Yep.
Cool, cool. Okay. Why don't we run through this today? And T-Bird, Roxiano, maybe you can take some sections. We'll run through the schedule here, guys. You can maybe take a few sections here, and then we'll get started. So I'm kind of stoked to have other hosts up here besides me. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, awesome. I will jump in whenever I should, I guess.
Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll go through the schedule here, and we'll just kind of, we'll give a little section to everybody, and then we'll kind of do it together. Um, so I'll do the
Sounds great.
proposal. Yeah, I'll do the proposal review, and then we'll go from there. So, our schedule here for today, ladies and gentlemen, is proposal review. So we'll be looking at two proposals today, and I also listened to the OVIX follow up community call last night that they published. So I listened to that call. We have a little bit of an update there. But I did also follow up with one of their members there to see what they're gonna do from their side regarding the DAO funds. So we'll go through that, and then 7:15 to 7:35. We actually might actually switch these around. So we'll probably discuss the Parcel VRF reroll, and talk about viewpoints. T-Bird, if you want to take that one with the Parcel VRF reroll discussion. I think that was put forward by Dr. Wagme, and basically suggesting that we do rerolls every 3 months. So maybe that's a good section, if you'd like to take that one. Then we have Parcel. So Parcel will be coming up today and giving a presentation on their treasury management solution. I thought this would be really helpful for Aavegotchi DAO to have on top of their Gnosis. Since you guys are already using Gnosis, it only makes sense, you know, to use Parcel. Well, and they have a V2 now, so hopefully they fixed some bugs, made some optimizations, added some cool features. So kind of looking forward to seeing what updates they have there. Yeah, and then we'll switch that around, and then 7:45 to 8 we can talk about the DAO Partnerships Committee discussion. Just some ideas I had for kind of the general purpose of this committee or these dedicated liaisons, and maybe some of their roles if we decide to make this a little bit more structured and organized. Then 8 to 8:20 we have managing small Aavegotchi grants and seed funding. So this is a conversation we kind of started off just at the end of the last hangout, and so Roxiana, if you wanna do that one, 8 to 8:20, managing small Aavegotchi grants and seed funding. I have some notes down in the document that we can kind of go through there.
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with our proposals. Rarity Farming Season 6. It passed overwhelmingly, and so we were aiming for a date of June 1st, if feasible, by Pixelcraft. And the previous season commenced on February 1st. February 1st to March 28th, right? So that was the first season. And so June 1st technically would mark the next season. And the suggestion for this proposal is the exact same reward parameters with another rarity farming season later in the year, with hopefully significant changes. So same parameters that we know, and be launching hopefully on June 1st. But I'd like to ask Coder Dan kind of what you guys think on the PC side, what would be feasible for a launch date or an estimated launch date.
Yeah, we want to make sure that all the XP gets out and people have plenty of time to claim that. So I've been trying to move this XP claim dashboard as fast as possible, and encourage anyone who is still having any issues to make a ticket, and we'll try to address them as quickly as we can. I saw a couple people asking today about they think they're not receiving XP they should have been. I think it's probably just kind of lack of clarity on maybe on the dashboard itself, but I think that the XP itself is correct. But I want to make sure that we don't have any issues with the XP before the first snapshot would happen. So probably I would say I would like to have something kick off a week or two from now, and we also need a little bit of time to prep marketing and things like that for it. So aiming for I'll have to chat with the team as well, but mid June should be pretty doable, as long as the XP airdrop dashboard doesn't have any major issues. But it should be pretty close to correct now. If anyone has an issue, just go over to the support desk and create a ticket, and we'll have our devs and myself look into it. So no need to go anywhere else. That's the place to make a ticket.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And if you guys see anyone in the chat asking about it, just if one of our mods or myself isn't around, just please direct them to the support tickets channel. We've already solved quite a few tickets, so I'd be surprised if there are any more, but there could be some gremlins. Pretty complicated dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, yeah, there's no major blockers for Rarity Farming Season 6.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Next proposal we have here is actually a proposal I had drafted up. Initially, there's two options. I did not include a third option, so my apologies for that. I misunderstood that there was actually, in fact, XP for SIG props. So I actually added that abstain option, so we have that. Honestly, not a whole lot of enthusiasm for this proposal, and I'm okay with that. I had a bit of a decision point to make by the 29th, so by tomorrow. And yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of enthusiasm here, but at the same time, I am seeing a lot of enthusiasm from other hosts and people that want to come up here and do this. And hopefully we have, some growing interest with these sorts of tasks, organizing the meetings, hosting the meetings, that sort of thing, maybe doing some BD, some partnerships, outreach. So, this will probably be the last meeting I kind of lead and host. I'll be stepping away. And, not to say I won't be hosting other meetings in the future. If we're have some sort of a system for that, or if Thrive Coin's giving out bounties, I'll be hosting meetings still. Just not in the same capacity. I'll be, starting next week, I hope we have enough hosts here that are comfortable. There's at least a handful now that in my opinion, are very capable of co-hosting a call. So I will probably not be here next week, and I think that's okay because I'm going to take some time off. And I also have some other opportunities that I'm going to try and pursue. So I will actually be withdrawing this proposal. I'm going to just let it run its course, but I'm not seeing a lot of enthusiasm either from Aavegotchi DAO or the Gotchi Vault. So just thought I'd put that out there. So we'll let this one go ahead. Sorry.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised how many voted abstain. I'm wondering if abstain wins, what would happen? Would the funds just not, be transferred or anything?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess we would each just take turns with the DAO, but it just wouldn't be compensated.
Well, I'm hoping that it would be compensated. Of course, there's going to be a bit of a period where it might not be, but I know talking to T-Bird, talking to Senate, the ThriveCoin team is actively kind of thinking about these opportunities as well. And so I'm hoping, by season 1 or maybe even season 2, the first month or the second month, the trial, there would be some sort of, compensation that would be involved. I mean, my idea behind this proposal was, if option 1 was to be selected, that 6,800 USDC, a good portion of that would be to kind of incentivize hosts for taking on meetings and stuff. But honestly, that's going to be, that's a little bit more work than I'm willing to do even at this point, honestly. So, I'm happy to kind of assist maybe, but again, I am pretty confident we got some pretty strong hosts. We got Mike Callum, T-Bird, funny. I was like, you can shadow me for the next call. And he's like, dude, I've been shadowing the DAO call for like 3 years. So it's like, you guys have been around, I feel pretty confident that if I was to take some time away from the DAO and do my own thing that, you guys would, things would get sorted out. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
hope
think it's
so too.
concerning that the so many members are voting abstain, and there's doesn't seem to be much conversation happening on Snapshot, or is there a place where people are discussing this proposal? Because just voting abstain, I mean, it's a little bit, to me, it's a little bit worrying that there isn't more conversation on this and that everyone is just voting it down. Is
Yeah,
it
and
because we're expecting ThriveCoin to kind of fill the gap for this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not really sure what, I'm kind of beheld to the voters of the DAO. If I've seen that large of an abstain vote, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna draft a core proposal. I already did that last time, and unless there's overwhelming support for something like this, I don't see the reason to. But it is a little concerning because there is a place for, there's a place for discussion in the DAO forums, and I think there's maybe two members that have been kind of active there, providing any sort of kind of feedback. So yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest. Let's check the chat. If there is someone who voted abstain, maybe, yeah, Choina saying abstainers aren't in this meeting, that's for sure. Those naysayers are definitely not strong ThriveCoin supporters, in my opinion. I'm not seeing that. Yeah, they haven't seen.
It seems they don't really see the need for a DAO, which definitely is very ignorant of them, in my opinion. I think that this community needs a DAO for sure. So maybe we should like speak up more about that.
Yeah, and I mean,
I
Coder
don't
Dev
know.
makes a good point. Like, even if it's not me doing it, the there shouldn't be opposition to the idea of others doing it either.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I fully support the DAO meetings, continuing that going forward. I don't think I'll be the one leading that. And I honestly don't think the DAO needs someone to lead it. We need, little tasks and bounties that people can take. That was my idea behind DAO Lens as well, is that the AI tool there would kind of help organize the meetings, help aggregate discussion material, and it can take a couple hours sometimes to go through all the forum posts and kind of fish around for what's happening this week in the DAO and bring the most relevant information up. But
Yeah. Musashi said abstain is not a no, so maybe we could try running another proposal. That might be a good idea. We could add more clarity where
well, no,
possible.
I mean, I'm just not going to waste any more time, to be honest, because I already did this a month ago and wasted like couple weeks of my time, and I have some decisions I have to make now, like on my side, IRL. So yeah, totally.
Okay.
I just look at Phase Point too. I get some people's feelings get hurt, but sometimes things need to be said, and they're being dicks as well. So I'm not gonna just sit there and if their feelings got hurt and they voted no, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, abstain is 100% a no versus not pay. One of the options is for pay for completed work. Yeah, it's very clear. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. For next week, I'll just make sure that we have someone to host the meeting, and I do have a template that I use for meetings every week. So I'll just make sure I have everything posted. I'll make a forum post or something. Maybe just a little package or something for people to have access to, and then the live streams is another thing. So I mean, these are things that ThriveCoin could compensate. I don't know, like I'm not on the board, so I don't know what you guys have planned for launch, because that's June 1st also, right? That's like in a week's time there'll be some rewards that that get unlocked. So, well, I know T-Bird, you're on it. Is there any kind of discussion regarding integrating like actual DAO tasks like this for um, for rewards?
Yeah, definitely. We are looking at recognizing people hosting these DAO meetings, and we haven't set values yet exactly, but obviously most of us agree that this showing up every Sunday morning or night, whatever time it is an obligation and work. So, and we don't have anybody to be compensated. It's hard to just keep it going, but yeah, there will be definitely Thrivecoin rewards, and we're figuring all that out. So
Yeah, for sure. I think this is definitely something that should be compensated. I've done it both ways. I've done it for free and I've been doing it compensated. So I could tell you it's definitely something that should be compensated.
Definitely.
Mike Callum saying Thrive isn't compensation, it's recognition. It'd be a different taste and formula compared to DAO compensation for contribution structure. It'll be after the fact as always. Yeah.
yeah, like basically if you're getting these Thrive points, and there will be raffle entries. So, I mean, we're still going through all the prizes and stuff like that, but yeah, it won't be like just like immediate contribution compensation. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get all that worked out, but we're definitely going to recognize and try to motivate people to get up here as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, an alternative proposal, I could put it up. I wouldn't include myself, but I could just put up a proposal for, like a bounty pool for hosting and kind of organizing the meetings to keep it going till we can figure something out. And, anybody who's hosting the meeting can be entitled to some compensation there, and anyone who's helping organize them can be entitled to a little compensation there as well. So that could be a possible way to go forward. But yeah, I'm going to be withdrawing this proposal specifically.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I would be down for like a bounty board for the DAO hosting. That sounds like a pretty decent idea.
It's a good place to start. And I wasn't going to add bounties to the DAO Lens proposal. Sorry, not the DAO Lens proposal, but our DAO Lens platform has the ability to add a bounties module. And I didn't add it, but we can easily just add that as a bounties module, and then maybe just have we can have a bounty posted for every week that people can grab, and then that will be your spot for that week. So I see Amanek is typing. They are the ones behind DAO Lens there. Just gonna read some of the comments here. People talking about the meaning of abstain. Let's see. Hosts running a DAO call need to be compensated. It's a paid role, not a contribution for Thrivecoin. Okay. Yeah, I see that point. Absolutely. Kind of similar to McCallum's point there.
So it looks like DAO Lens will actually probably pass. At least right now.
Yeah, and if DAO Lens passes, I will still help with that implementation. I don't think there's any compensation for that. I didn't include any compensation for that, but I've been working with their team already, so and I think it's going to add a lot of value to the DAO. So it's I think I'd still be hosting. They're doing one meeting a week for kind of like Thrivecoin is doing, and so I'll be around for that. Let's see what he's saying. The standard bounty module in the DAO manager is always available. In fact, all the other modules like events, docs, project management will be there as well. Awesome. Yeah, cool. So I am hoping that, and let's move on to that proposal here next. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, so DAO Lens is basically, this proposal is for a 3-month trial of DAO Lens. DAO manager for Aavegotchi DAO, and we'll be using Robin AI for governance discussions. That's their GPT-4 powered GPT-4 powered AI DAO manager. So it's able to like compare proposals, summarize them. It's able to help you write proposals. I think some features that we're hoping to get, like integrated discussions from Discord and Discourse all in one place. These sorts of things would be really helpful for organizing and kind of keeping a high level view on the DAO all in one UI, you know. So some deliverables for this proposal include some custom AI training based on Aavegotchi DAO proposals to give it some historical context, data migration, you know, the regular weekly meetings, which I'll still be hosting, and that will be more to kind of have a weekly brainstorming session with Aavegotchi DAO, you know, how we can optimize the DAO Lens tool. And then task assignment, and also we'll be doing some joint marketing there as well. I'll be helping host some spaces and stuff for them, and kind of get the word out for DAO Lens, because I don't only think it's going to be beneficial for Aavegotchi DAO, but I haven't seen any other AI DAO manager tools that are as comprehensive as what they have so far. I think a lot of other DAOs could benefit from it too. So the cost is really reasonable. It's about I think roughly 2,000 USDC for development and working with Aavegotchi DAO. So that's a one-time fee. And then there's a monthly subscription of 199 USDC per month. So that includes the tokens for the Robin for the AI, the tokens for the GPT-4 AI, as well as the subscription cost. So let's how is this proposal doing actually? Let's see.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like it's passing, or it's
Yeah.
2.8 million ghost yes, implement 1.6 million ghost no, 63 to 36%.
And I think
Almost
the
halfway to
Gotchi,
quorum.
yeah, and I think the Gotchi Vault support was in favor of as well. So that should reflect in about a day or so. So that's that proposal there. And that pretty much wraps it up for proposals.
Yeah,
So,
looks like that was tomorrow, I believe. So
mhm.
get out and vote.
Get out and vote. Okay, so we do have a presentation here with Parcel, but I know they said they were going to be running a bit late this morning, a bit past this scheduled time. So I'll just flip it around and we will talk about the Parcel rerolls. So I don't actually have notes for this, but you know, of T-Bird, are you familiar with kind of the discussion happening around the VRF rerolls that Dr. Wagme had put?
Yeah, a little bit. I was out most of the day on the water yesterday, but I know there's a DAO forum post in there from Dr. Wagme. He says, I propose that parcel rerolls be scheduled and reoccurring every 3 months to complete Act 1. Further survey roles and tokenomics of Acts 2 and 3 can be proposed by Pixelcraft or the Aavegotchi DAO. This predictability will ensure investors have prior investment decisions honored, and to be more confident in future investments, Pixelcraft team continues to develop Gotchiverse and Gotchi Guardians, which will create further sinks in a healthy, sustainable ecosystem. This will continue to push alchemical emissions away from channeling and into farming. It will allow Pixelcraft to clear dates around which to target a great battle or similar climatic experience for the rounds. It also affords more confident participation in the Alchemica spending competitions, which have been successful to date. So it looks like he's proposing basically every 3 months, so or whenever possible from a Pixelcraft implementation perspective. So
Yeah. No, well said.
just basically read that.
Yeah, no,
word for word.
absolutely. No, appreciate that. So like what are thoughts on Parcel rerolls? Are people feeling like they could go either way on it, or you know, let's hear from the large landholders, let's hear from the farmers. I'd like to know You guys with the big farming operations, empty land. How are you thinking about this?
So survey one, initial farm release on 7/20 of last year, 25% of Alchemica in Act number one. And then survey two was March 3rd. And then he's proposing the next reroll be on the 3rd of next month. So coming up in just a week or so. And then possibly another one in September. So.
And I think the point that I read the most was the consistency aspect of it, right? Rerolls for surveys. Grim says, rerolls for surveys, I just want consistency where we do not need to vote every time. However, there is a concern on roadmap and surveys running out before Great Ballot and other things. PC comment. Yeah, Dan, what are your thoughts on this?
When whoever it was that made the initial post, was it Dr. Wagme? I recommended that they include this kind of stipulation in the original post, so we wouldn't have to re-vote on this, but it wasn't included. I mean, my perspective is we've already kind of deviated from the roadmap anyway, so might as well just make it consistent for people, so that there's a predictable re-roll schedule. And I think by the time we get to the final one, I think it's highly likely that we'll have that will be into great battles already. Yeah,
I think we're just looking for more predictable surveying, and especially with channeling being nerfed. If we're not farming, what are we actually doing in the Gotchiverse, and what are incentives to build? So that's a comment from Choina, I believe.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I support the consistency at this point.
Yeah, consistency sounds good. I think a lot of people are invested in the farming, and a lot of people are questioning whether they think it's actually worth the investment, like at certain levels. I haven't finished the first survey personally for my lands, but I do farm, and it is a pretty useful tool, and I think that consistency with surveying would benefit many people.
Yeah, and my personal opinion is I could go kind of either way. Like I kind of fit in Roxiano's mindset there, where I haven't really emptied any of my land yet, but I could also see larger holders at the same time that rely on the schedule because they've upgraded their setups to the point where they can actually clean out every time.
Yeah.
And the subsequent rerolls aren't as high, right? Because I think the way the Alchemica distribution worked, like the first reroll was going to be the biggest reroll, and then every subsequent one was going to be, I think it's significantly smaller.
Every subsequent one is 75 divided by 9, so it's about 8.3% of. And again, it's not a fixed number; it's still randomized via VRF. So you're getting roughly 8.3% of the total that you could potentially get every survey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just reading some other comments in the DAO discussion. Hardcore was saying that you build based on its schedule. If you overbuild, you lose. That's the whole game of harvesting. Get the Alchemica out of the ground with the least upfront costs and highest, fastest return. Coming up empty should be your fault, not just because an extra year slid into the timeline. So I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate and saying, some people have been more conservative about building, but we also need to reward those people that have been spending a lot and putting the resources back into their lands. I think that's...
Yeah, well said. That's a good point to make there. So overall, the sentiment seems kind of positive around implementing it, but of course, there's a few people that say, like you said, T-Bird, more reserved, for sure. So next steps, I guess, Dr. Wagme was the one who put this forward, so I think probably gonna defer to him for next steps. But if I was to guess, I'd say probably there's some sort of a signal proposal, and there is a DAO forum. There's a DAO forum chat already open in regards to this. So if you do have any questions or comments, please check out the DAO forum. Dr. Wagme has a post there for that.
Troy is asking if anybody has access to the spreadsheets for like the different types of builders, upgrade or expand or etc. Remember there was.
Oh yes, is that Maxi Crouton? Yeah.
Definitely different strokes for different folks in the building game.
Yes.
I haven't really. I've definitely pretty much almost drained one of my humbles. I've got a spacious that's almost done, but I've been just, building when I can and putting as much into it. But yeah, I've been pretty conservative other than maybe leveling up altars and stuff. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's good to go slow. Instead of like spend massive amounts of glitter and many people's opinion that I've seen.
I mean, it is a lot of speculation. You're thinking, so it's. I think we're all just learning out how to play this farming game.
True,
Best
true.
way.
Nothing is like the definite best, guaranteed option to go with. I mean, we don't really know for sure, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I see my Callum as a hot take there. I'm gonna read it. Seems short-sighted to already be focusing on unlocking even more Alchemica at an accelerated rate. Buy other parcels to continue strip mining. Personal opinion. So. All right. We'll continue this discussion in the forums unless anyone either of you up here, if you guys got any kind of final parting thoughts on kind of what we think about rerolls, regular rerolls.
Yeah, I feel like the community is going to be kind of split on this anyways, depending on how much you invested early. A lot of people have built up way fast to try to, extract all the Alchemica as quick as they can. None of us knew what the best play was going to be with any of this. So it's kind of like we have to be fluid and able to change to benefit the DAO and the majority of the players, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah. No, that's a good final
can't
thought
make
there.
everybody happy on this one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of those ones, right? Yeah, absolutely. All right. So next up, I'd like to invite Napur from Parcel. If you're in the house here, I see some of the Parcel team in here actually. Get you guys up here. So we have Anubhav from Parcel. Welcome, GM sir.
GM, thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, appreciate you coming up here and talking about Parcel as a treasury management solution. Of course, as Aavegotchi DAO, we've recently become a foundation, and we have 9 signers for the DAO Treasury, and they've been doing a great job, honestly, so far, dealing with all of our requests. However, it can get a little bit messy after a while, right? If you're not tracking if not everything's being tracked or is being tracked only on Gnosis, things can get a little chaotic. So we are hoping to rein in the chaos a little bit by exploring different payment managers. And Parcel was the first one I could think of, only because I use it already on a day-to-day basis. And also, you guys have recently rolled out a V2, so kind of curious about what V2 looks like, bug fixes, features, all that stuff. So, just a quick little opener for those of you who don't know what Parcel is. It's basically a zero gas platform designed to make DAO payments and disbursements far quicker and easier. So they got some really cool features we'll talk about here in a sec. But they are Gnosis Safe powered, so they do use Gnosis Safe built on top of Gnosis Safe, and so that provides a secure and kind of battle-tested solution. And so also allows for contributor profiles and a whole bunch of other features that I'm going to let Anubhav take it away actually from here and let you kind of explain at a high level what Parcel is and then maybe what V2 is looking like or V3.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Hefe, for setting up the context. It's really helpful. Maybe I can start sharing my screen, and then
Sure.
I can talk about what Parcel is, what the new version is, and then we can do a quick demo for all the contributors to make their lives and your lives easier.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, let me try sharing my screen. Oh, okay, so I don't have screen sharing permissions on the system. I'll have to retry.
Yeah, I don't know. I do not have the ability to give you permissions, unfortunately. Is there a specific role you
Yeah,
need?
no, it's a new system, so I think it's probably that's why I need to set it up.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, my Calm, I hear you. Parcel restored my love for Gnosis.
Yeah, I know we were using or still are using Parcel for Pixelcraft payroll, and I know Golden Cross had mentioned a few issues with it. So hopefully, yeah, we'd love to get access to the latest version.
Yeah, absolutely. Alternatively, you can also send me those documents and I can try and share them and follow along as well.
Yeah, let me try sharing that document, but there's also the application that I wanted to demonstrate.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Give me a minute while I figure this out.
Okay. Maybe in the meantime, we can hear from some of the DAO directors. If you guys are in here, McCallum, I'm not sure if you're free hands right now, but if you'd like to talk to, while he's setting up, if you'd like to speak to some of the challenges that maybe you guys have seen dealing with just Gnosis with the Treasury so far. Should be up soon. Yep. GM.
My parcel story is really simple because in terms of treasury management, which somehow, some way I've been doing for a long time now, almost 2 years of active multi-sig participation, begun by Aavegotchi Guild exposure and has just kind of expanded into larger demands. And so like even GMI, we're almost upon our 400 knots for our multi-sig. So there's just a lot of interaction that happens with it. And now with the DAO directors, it happens all the time. So I'm really kind of conditioned now to using things like Parcel. And when the Aavegotchi DAO directors began operating and not using a overlay on Gnosis, it was a reminder to me of how like just foundationally Spartan the Gnosis safe UI is, and how basic a lot of it is, which is good by design because it works really reliably. But like the overlay opportunities give me the biggest benefit in just being able to literally explain and map with descriptions and categorizations and tagging and letting contributors be the ones that pull their own payment requests. Those two features alone are just significant in terms of the applications that we're currently dealing with.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, Musashi saying, I love the modular aspect of it with Gnosis, though. Like, Gnosis itself is a pain to use, but, everything else on top of it has been great. All the tools I've tried have been awesome.
So are the directors currently using Parcel, or is this something we're looking into using for them?
No, It's just, yeah, myself has had direct experience with it. Choin is really interested in trying parcel-esque type projects to see the improvement opportunities. Because otherwise, right now, the directors are staring at transactions inside just the Gnosis interface, and the advisement is to possibly run them in Tenderly to see the simulations and check out the data. And that's fine, but that is like for the core verification to make sure that things are going to the right places explicitly, which is part of the due diligence. What Parcel does is not necessarily replace that. It helps us on the front end of that by almost just helping us like secretarially index all these transactions so that they're very clearly titled, very clearly defined and categorized. I see personally good value in that because we have multiple treasuries on different chains, lots of different transactions of different natures associated with different agaps. And so I see it mostly for the benefit of being able to textually just describe all of the transaction mapping.
Mm-hmm.
Did the directors ever check out Den as well? I know maybe that's a competitor to Parcel, but I did hear a lot of good things about it early on. I'm not sure how well adopted it ever got.
I don't know that the directors are cohesively pursuing anything specific in terms of platform upgrades for the treasury management. There's just a few of us that are kind of doing it ourselves. I haven't personally played with Den. I use Parcel every day, and I've used Utopia before, and I know that there's another couple out there that are doing similar to this. We like Parcel for their longevity. They've been doing this for a while. They kind of just have the front edge on this platform, and so that's kind of why I've been gravitating towards there. But happy to kind of explore the others too, and just kind of see where everybody's at with this.
Yeah, this one, it's built on Gnosis Safe. You don't have to create another platform. It's just it's an overlay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Choina, you make a good point. I think we did this a while ago with different DAO platforms. We looked at DWork, Wonderverse, and a few other ones. And so similar kind of idea here, looking at our options as a DAO and seeing, ultimately it's the directors that are going to be using this. So I'd like to know, from the directors firsthand what they're comfortable collectively using. Parcel was our closest ally, so to speak. So we just thought we'd give them the opportunity here to speak first. But I'm also open to getting Den on board, also open to getting Utopia on board. They're actually quite local to my area, so I know the Utopia guys, and they're building an interesting platform as well. So I don't see Anubhav on stage anymore. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to, while you're figuring things out there, you're actually got your hand.
It's good.
Yeah, let's give him a chance here to try it out one more time. Otherwise, I'm okay to kind of flip things around and give you that opportunity near the end of the meeting as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna just try. I was restarted Discord, so let me just give it a try once again. Otherwise, we can do it at the end.
Okay. Yeah, Discord can be. I hear you, man. Discord can be real nasty sometimes.
Yeah, I saw the stream appear for a split second and then disappear a few times.
Yeah. Coder Dan, how do the permissions usually work for sharing in the amphitheater? Do you need a specific permission to?
I don't think so. I think it says local issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me know. Maybe there's something. I'm looking through the permissions now. I don't see anything that looks like that.
I didn't think there was. Sir
No,
Linky,
I think it's on my local as well. So I'm gonna give it another try, and maybe we can do it at the end if that works.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll put a pin in that one. This one here, I'm actually losing my voice a little bit. I'm gonna have to go get some water. So T-Bird, Mycallum, Roxiano, if one of you would like to take the idea of this DTF 2.0 / DAO Community Initiative Fund discussion.
Sure, I could do it.
Okay, awesome.
All
Yeah,
right. So yeah.
go ahead. I'm gonna go
Um,
step away real quick. I'll be right back.
All right. So there's a question of ThriveCoin filling the gap for the grants. However, the ultimate goal is to oversee and manage the funding of small projects from proposal evaluation to fund disbursement, ensuring transparency, equity, and alignment with DAO's goals. The roles that we are considering and looking at are project evaluator, which will assess the feasibility and potential impact of proposals, financial advisor, which evaluates financial aspects of proposals and monitors DAO budget, committee chair, which leads the committee and acts as a liaison with the wider DAO, the feedback coordinator, which communicates decisions and feedback to proposers. And the last one, disbursement officer, who oversees the disbursement of funds to approved projects. And the responsibilities of the roles of this team would be creating guidelines for grant funding proposals, reviewing and evaluating grant proposals, providing feedback to proposers, voting on funding decisions, dispersing funds to approved projects, and monitoring outcomes of funded projects, and reporting back to the DAO periodically.
Yeah, thank you for going through that there. So that's basically just a general idea from from my side there regarding maybe what DTF 2.0 could look like.
Yeah. So, what would be needed in order to implement this? It would probably be just like a vote or something. And then we
Yeah.
would need to have like specific roles assigned via a vote for like each.
Yeah, I mean, so, I have firsthand experience with the DTF, kind of what that was when I came in. The DTF had been around for about 7 months. They hadn't funded a whole lot at that point. And so their idea was to hire a project manager, essentially, to do all of these things. And, I ended up
Yeah,
taking
that's
lead on that.
yeah, big responsibility.
And it just, yeah, I mean, it is a lot for one person to do. And I think this is something that could be a little bit more decentralized, especially if we're talking about a committee, right? So if we were to do like a DTF committee instead of like a DTF lead, you would have these individual positions, in my opinion. But do we, like, in your opinion, Roxiano, do you feel like all of these, do you think we need all of these as individual people? Do you feel like maybe we should just like put a call out to the DAO for people that might be interested in taking some of these? What are your kind of just general thoughts from what you see at a high level?
Yeah, it's it's difficult.
Yeah,
Because especially with the recent, vote about the the continuity of the DAO, for sure we should definitely look for new people who are willing to do some of this stuff. And
yeah,
it is important for the continuity of the DAO.
yeah.
So
No, that's for
yeah.
sure. This is so, this is going back. You make a good point there, because this is going back to Mikey J's point that there is the way he put it was there's a DTF sized hole in the DAO right now.
Yeah.
And I to an extent I actually agree with that. There's a hole for like seed funding projects, getting behind community initiatives, and maybe even monitoring and providing contributor compensation, right? So we're not talking about like ThriveCoin thank rewards. We're talking more like like you say, compensating for meetings and doing like work within the DAO. So there could be a committee that does this, but I think the shortfalls of the DTF were, none of the members were paid, so nobody was being compensated to do any work, and I think there was just, in my opinion, and I don't think it's on any one of the members by any means, but just a general kind of lack of organization, and it was kind of siloed away from the rest of the community, so it wasn't quite as accessible as it could have been as well. And so maybe if we were to do a DTF 2.0, I would love to see something like that living within the Aavegotchi server, where we can have a little bit more transparency, a little bit more accessibility for people just coming into the DAO who are new to the DAO but have valuable skill sets, and for them to immediately kind of gravitate towards this space within the DAO Discord forum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and on the accessibility aspect, do you think that DAO Lens would tie into it, like make it more easy to have everything on one, platform to look at for everybody, and and to an extent, like how much of it, could be automated, I guess, is the question, and we would need to look into tools like DAO Lens in order to figure that out, right?
Yeah, well said, well said. I mean, that's going to be a big step in terms of like you say, having everything in one place, making it easily accessible, and even things like documents that this committee would put out, like how to apply for funding, how to write a proposal, like how to write a funding proposal. These could be really helpful things that this committee of people could help develop under under DAO Lens.
Yeah, and also ThriveCoin could be another tool like that could help with the grant process as well. So we do have a lot of tools at our disposal, and there should be definitely roles behind that to help figure out those tools and use them. And there should still be like the meetings and stuff, and the as far as like managing the finances and everything. It just needs more organization, like you said. So yeah.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, do you feel, and not just you, but the rest of the audience here, do we feel there's room for something like a DTF 2.0 and a ThriveCoin to kind of work alongside each other, each with their own
Definitely.
objectives?
Definitely. What's gonna happen, in my opinion, this is just what I'm seeing as the forward looking here, is we're gonna be able to build like a DTF 2.0 with ThriveCoin bones. So ThriveCoin has a really good model. They're a good team. They've shown up and shown us a good process. They have executed well on community sourced, community category elections to try to get diverse board representation. They put a board together. It's moving forward. It's operating on behalf of the DAO community. All of that's working, but ThriveCoin is 100% about retroactive recognition, and so it is only after the fact. And there's smart members in our community that have made it very clear that there are projects and certain types of work that are just within the forward funding category. They're the kinds of things that people just need the funding to start on. And so that is like seed funding, and that is definitely grants, and that is proposals. And so that isn't happening in Thrive, nor should it. Thrive can focus on what it can do well, which is incentivizing good behavior on the back end. And then we still need a DTF 2.0, but we could potentially source a lot of the ThriveCoin type setup to make this a better DTF, because the DTF worked. It worked. We were beneficiaries of it. It functioned. It was just rough. It was very raw, and it was exhausting, and it was thankless. And so it had a limited runway, and it ran out. So a DTF 2.0 is definitely a good idea.
Goodwill runs out. It's like oil, right? So there's only so much of it.
It will. Yeah, so we will benefit from a DTF 2.0 for sure. And I think we can learn a lot of lessons about how to potentially structure and execute it from the currently operating ThriveCoin model.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you have a good background in this. Like, do you see this being more of a roles-based pillars model or a skill-based pillars model, like what ThriveCoin has?
So
Roxiano described the roles-based model there.
And so I'd like T-Bird's take on this too, with what he's gone through so far with Thrive. What I honestly think I would like to see with if Thriver ran again right now, I would like to have seen the board selection be community sourced on ranked vote choice, not necessarily on these categories. I think that the categories made it very linear and siloed in terms of like just Maury versus just Diddley. And it's like, well, then we'll go here. And oh, I guess we'll go here. And I guess we'll in this category I'll pick here. This broken out ticket, I think limited engaging and thoughtful members, because even right now we have members that have put on the Thrive board that aren't necessarily as engaged as some others are. T-Bird has been to every meeting, every single meeting for every board he's gone to. And if everybody on the board was that committed and engaged, we'd be moving at light speed. And so I think that as a DTF 2.0 sourcing, one benefit I see is if we went to essentially just like general, I want to be on this board, just at large, and don't try to break it down into I'm the artist representative for this board, and I'm the designer representative for this board. And I don't think that necessarily gave us a specific mix or advantage. I'm actually thinking that it possibly limited selection to some people, like maybe Umami would have just been like, I don't fit into any of these categories, but I can be there every day. I'm super interested. It's like, well, that's what we're actually looking for. Someone who's just going back and forth at rapid speed. Because what we have more than anything is a need for like the pulse of the DAO.
Yeah.
There's so many of us and our opinions move so fast. You and I have both experienced if you spend more than 2 to 5 days without paying attention, A, people start wondering where you are, and B, you lose touch.
Yeah.
And so I think like consistency is almost one of the best traits to seek in somebody right now on one of these boards. Somebody who really has a good visibility of what the hell's going on.
Yeah, like you say, there are many kind of members in this DAO. You know, there's 42 of them right now in the building with us that I would include in that category of being in tune and very much aware of kind of what's going on in the DAO for the most part. So, like, would you say then maybe having some dedicated roles, you know, despite getting broad interest, maybe having dedicated roles within the DTF would be beneficial? I saw that as one of the major weaknesses of the DTF 1.0 is that there were no dedicated roles beyond the lead. You know, there was the project manager, but there was no additional like roles that were assigned to anybody else. So what ended up happening is a lot of the roles got kind of abdicated to the only one, and there's a compensation element too, right? The only one getting compensated should be doing most of the work. But at the same time, I think having those roles of like, hey, you're the disbursement officer, your job is just to make sure that transactions are being handled correctly and disbursements are being made in a timely manner. You know what I mean? Like little things like that, little responsibilities.
So again, talking to ThriveCoin experience right now, the discussion we just had was relating to how the advisory board was selected and sourced, and that's one side of it. I think that could have been done in a different way potentially to benefit. But now that we're inside of the committee, we are breaking out into work groups. We are breaking out into little fire teams, and when those teams have missions and sprints and specific goals in mind and accountabilities and report ups, and that is absolutely crucial. That's highly effective in terms of work distribution and accountability and keeping the ball moving. And so regardless of the committee's selection, that's one part of the discussion. In terms of community execution, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely going to be important to have assigned accountability and specific role expectations from essentially voluntary members, right? It's not like something obligatory that should be uncomfortable. People should enjoy what they're doing and being involved in this because they want to do these things. But putting people into their specialized skill roles is going to benefit the group for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Just listed a few responsibilities there that Roxiano had mentioned earlier that I think are fitting for this kind of group. So, you know, creating guidelines for grant funding proposals, reviewing and evaluating grant proposals. You're providing feedback to proposers, voting on funding decisions. That's a major one that I think needs to be somewhat transparent or very transparent so people can see how their kind of decision is being weighed within this committee or their proposals being weighed within this committee. and then dispersing funds to approve projects, monitoring outcomes of funded projects, and then reporting back to the DAO. So, in short, I think those could be some of the responsibilities of this committee. And, I do have a thread open, and, we're just kind of starting this conversation here, opening it back up again. I think we should get some broad feedback on it before we move to like a SIG prop or anything like that. So please provide your feedback. If you either want to be part of this committee or you want to help shape this committee, I'd love to get your feedback on it. And please drop it in the forum, the DAO forum. Do you guys, anybody up here have any kind of parting thoughts regarding this DTF 2.0? You see the need for it, something we should be pushing towards, or anything really?
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I strongly support the DAO allocating a budget to it and having it in some form of grants program. I think a DAO without the ability to fund its members in a streamlined way is it's a DAO, but it's not really doing what it could be doing.
It's a dysfunctional
I think one of the
DAO.
coolest parts of this is that we have the ability to fund community members that are creating, doing things that are going to benefit everyone in the DAO. If we can't use resources to fund that kind of behavior in an efficient, streamlined way, we're not going to get very far. So I loved the DTF. I think there's a lot of things we took away from it and can improve on it. But I do think it would be great to bring it back in some form.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just share this with the folks here in the meeting today. I've also built out a DAO meetings dashboard, DAO grants dashboard. It's fully up and running. We used it when I was doing the project management for the DAO with the DTF. And so, the infrastructure for that committee already sort of exists. We just need the right members in place, interested members in place. And then maybe we can all collectively kind of draft a proposal to get some funding for the committee. And I'd be happy to be a part of that committee as well. And so just the initial discussion around that, and looking forward to seeing this develop in the DAO.
Yes, I'm also looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Real quick check-in back with Anubhav, if you are around, Parcel crew. If you're not able to make it for this meeting, I'll follow up with you after, and we can try again for next week or the week after. But yeah, if you're able to present, if you feel ready, you can put your hand up there and I'll get you up. Okay.
Cool difficulties.
Yeah,
Sounds like.
it happens.
I don't see him in the audience anymore.
Yeah, they might be coming back around next week, so that is okay.
Right. Yeah.
He's wrestling with the laptop on the living room floor.
Yeah, yeah. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. So
Definitely.
so we got so this is the last one here. DAO Partnership Committee and / liaisons could be either or. This is a conversation that kind of Lost Local kicked off, so appreciate him kicking that conversation off there. And the idea here is could be informal, or the last one we just talked about, DTF 2.0, that's going to be very much a formal committee. This could be either way, depending on how we feel on it. If it's something that the DAO wants to fund and be an active initiative, or it could be something where we have just dedicated or committed members who are willing to take on this sort of thing. Maybe rewarded through ThriveCoin in a way, some way. So the idea here is a dedicated committee or appointed liaisons within Aavegotchi DAO for managing partnerships and business development. So the responsibilities here would include kind of identifying, evaluating, and kind of maintaining partnerships while also communicating these things with the community. Pixelcraft, you guys have approached Aavegotchi DAO repeatedly in the past, and it's always nice to have a point of contact that you can talk to and say, hey, we're thinking about this with Aavegotchi DAO. What do you guys think? I think that would be the first major benefit, is having Aavegotchi DAO representatives available and ready for when you guys find interesting partnerships that maybe don't mesh well with PC as well. They would mesh as well as they would mesh with the DAO. And so making sure that we as a DAO can still handle those partnerships professionally and, you know, make sure we're having members there for the meeting. We're able to provide constructive feedback and move these things forward through the DAO if they are actually valuable proposals to the DAO. So I think that would be the primary benefit of having something like this. The secondary benefit would be the ability to assess, assess other potential partnerships and work with other DAOs that are actually specifically focused on BD, and it kind of broaden the pool of available partnerships that we could potentially have between Aavegotchi DAO and X party. I had a good call this week with Jairus James. You guys might be familiar with him. He's a pretty active Bankless DAO member in the space. We had a good call last week where we discussed his initiative that he's just starting up called the DAO Relationships Guild, and he is focused now. He's been an OG in the space and made a lot of connections, and so he's going to continue pursuing that through DAO Relationships Guild, which he founded, and it's going to be basically decentralized business development. And so things like this could be really interesting for Aavegotchi DAO to kind of work closely with, like other DAOs like this. But you would need to have like some sort of dedicated group that's actually going and making it to these meetings, and has someone available for these meetings. So kind of want to know what your thoughts are on that. Maybe Coder Dan from the PC side, and then folks from up here on the DAO side like to know if this is something we could benefit from.
So this was Lost Locals initiative. I mean, he's at
Oh.
Pixelcraft too, so
He's in here
don't wanna
actually.
step on his toes.
Yeah,
If he wants to come up and I think he talked about it last week as well.
yeah.
But maybe there's some new thoughts on that side. In general, I do think it's a good idea to have for like DAO partnerships. It's kind of nice to have one or two like key members that could at least handle some of like the Telegram chats and just the various communications before a proposal gets put before the larger community, whether it's like via DTF2 or an actual like SIG prop, and coming onto these calls, kind of having like almost like a sponsor in a way from the DAO to like guide them through some of the process. That's kind of how I would view it, but maybe there's some other things that would be covered by this role.
Mm-hmm.
But Lost Local said it looks like he's getting ready to get off a plane, so he might. I'm not sure if he can come on or not.
So I've been chatting with Lost Local a bit about this too himself, Hefe, and I currently think at where we are right this exact moment, the opportunity at hand is to develop some incentive pathways and use ThriveCoin, the current infrastructure, to create some rewards pathways for individual community members that do want to step up and engage in active BD efforts that are measurable in their results, that should be able to be a recognized activity within the ThriveCoin model. So we can at least start playing with this concept of what does it look like to incentivize and reward retroactively a community member for their actions that have led to successful networking or BD. And so we can likely do that as a behavior recognition first, and then that way we don't have to commit resources and allocate to an individual and say, okay, Roxiano, that's it. You're now BD for the DAO. And that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on an individual. It's a lot of commitment into an individual. And two, there might be other people out there that are better at certain parts of this model or have different connections than others of us do. And so putting your BD into one or two people limits that network size to them. And so if we create incentivized behaviors and action paths, then all of us are able to participate in meaningful BD when the opportunity presents. And I think that that's probably going to be our most powerful opportunity to set this up.
I really like that. I like how you're saying, recognize the behavior, not necessarily an individual person as a point of contact, because we might actually get more people coming out of the woodwork that way with specific partnerships that maybe an individual might have not been able to make. Let's say awkward AI is like, hey, I know this guy is very like technically orientated. You guys were talking about this. He seems like the perfect guy to meet up with y'all. Like that would be an example of like awkward AI was never a partnership lead, but.
And that would be, and I think that we can, as a community, I think that we can have the discussion about breaking the process down. I think this is a cool discussion. I'm the kind of person that thinks this is a cool discussion. It's not something that everyone likes, but there's a lot of us that do. And so that could be just a lead identification, right? That's awkward saying, hey, y'all should go talk to them. Then there's a tier 2 where it's awkward saying, hey, I talked to them and had the first contact, and here's what I learned, and here's a semi-developed lead. And then there's a, hey, I talked to them, I recorded the meetings, I summarized notes, I've written up a prospect sheet, I've got a value prop to present to the community on why I think that this project is a good partnership. I've already entered their DAO as a member, and I'm working on this side of it. And that can be rewarded at different levels. ThriveCoin gives us the ability for graduated rewards allocations. And so things can be like a 0.1 reward to a 0.5 reward to a 10x reward. And so we can have this graduated pathway of recognition for the lightweight front end where it's like, hey, I think maybe y'all should talk to YGG SEA. They look cool. And I mean, that's useful. That's useful. And that generates our pool. That generates our pool of leads.
Yeah.
And then you'll have community agents who are looking at this pool of leads and they're like, I'm going to go follow up with this YGG SEA lead and see if there's something here. And then they can mature that, and then they can get recognition for that portion of the process. And then those that are more skilled at closing can be our closers. And so I think that this way we can build an entire decentralized BD team in-house and use ThriveCoin to reward it.
And I'm not only envisioning ThriveCoin here. As you're speaking, I'm thinking, there's a documents module on DAO Lens. And so all of these things, the leads, the follow-up leads, the closings could be 3 different documents there. And ThriveCoin could actually monitor those documents as a source of sending out the rewards. Yeah. So you're not going all over the place. You just monitor those 3 documents. And as you see these things being populated in there, you can say, hey, oh yeah, Musashi added, timestamp and his thing. And, that turned into this. Also led by Musashi, so he gets 20 Thrive for that and 40 Thrive for that. You know what I mean? And I think this could be the perfect thing to reward post, after the fact, because you want to see these relationships like either develop into something or just become a lead. You don't really know initially how these things are going to pan out sometimes.
And we don't want to.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
So what I'm hearing is that it would be basically like a transition into finding like specified roles by having like a pool of people who are trying to, close the leads and everything. Which I think, everything. I love everything I'm hearing. I love everything I'm hearing related to ThriveCoin, DAO Lens, etc. So I do think that like they should like go into more specific roles after a while, but it's a great like building starting point for sure.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said.
Well, and the only other thing that's a benefit of this too is that then ThriveCoin board that's already been funded and assembled is also able to double as the admin role of this, right? It's our job to make sure that this doesn't get gamified in bad ways. It's our job to be clever about the reward pathways. And it's lively reviewed. And so we can be paying attention to it along the way. So that way we don't have to directly reinvent the wheel running alongside a similar pathway or concentrate our funding and our hopes into 1 or 2 individuals specifically allocated to this.
Yeah, that sounds pretty neat. I like that approach.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, I'm open to anyone that's interested in this. I am looking for y'all. So if like decentralized BD is interesting to you, if decentralized networking is interesting, if you feel like you got a Rolodex, if you know what a Rolodex is, I want to talk to you, and we can get y'all involved in the potential available leads that are available and get y'all's opinions. on how we're going to develop this process, so that way we can make it meaningful and useful, so that way people are wanting to put their free time into trying to produce and contribute in this area some way.
Yeah, it's helpful to have a member of the advisory board, Thrive Advisory Board here, so you can take this kind of back to the board, and hopefully there's like a discussion around that. When you guys have your meeting around maybe incentivizing the behavior. If I'm sure you guys have had this conversation already, but it's I'm looking forward to it for sure. Smoke screen. For those of you who do not know what a Rolodex is.
Yeah, there you go. There's a live view of a wild Rolodex.
So
and
sharing like a contact, would that, I mean, we couldn't just reward like sharing a contact. There would probably need to be something beyond that, right? But what would that
completely
kind
modular
of look like?
Yeah, it's completely modular. And so it could be that lightweight, and that could just be an extremely micro reward, a 0.1 FUD type of thing, where it's just like, it's barely worth it. And if it gets spammed in a significant way, then we're going to start, monitoring those channels and being able to exclude those, because it'd be a lot of effort to do a micro attack like that. But we could qualify it in a lot of different ways. Thrivecoin has the ambition for a lot of automation and wants to be that, but the reality is, communities are humans, and a lot of the actions that we have are very manually reviewable, and they're not things that can easily be automated yet. And so we already anticipate having to relatively pay attention to what's going on. And so maybe it's if a contact matures into an active lead because somebody was able to pick it up and turning it into something meaningful, then that contact becomes retroactively rewardable. So maybe a contact that doesn't ever turn into anything doesn't actually get rewarded until it matures into tier 2. But
Okay.
that's kind of the Thrivecoin long form meetings that we have, is to kind of figure stuff out like this. But yeah, those are good questions to ask.
Yeah, so say I'm a company and I want a partnership with Aavegotchi. There would have to be like where would I go? There would be like a place where I would go. Would I just like reach out to the general community and see who answers me first, or what would
Go
that?
to the help desk and you make a support ticket. That's what it currently is right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a mess. We get a ton of,
Oh,
you guys probably
actually,
don't know, but
interesting.
we get so much spam. Currently, one of our BD team members, Lilac, is answering all of the BD kind of stuff that comes in. Majority of it, honestly, it's just like spam or very, very low level, kind of like one level away from almost being like a scam. But she adds, she gets their DM, she notes it down, and once in a while there'll be some pretty cool, like interesting stuff that comes through. But yeah, most of the time it's just like, it's almost like a scam, or it's like a fake exchange, or all sorts of weird stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah. Someone's
But
got to
we do
weed
have
all
a-
that out.
Yeah, we do have a ticket. If you go to the help desk and support tickets, you can create a partnership ticket. That's currently what we're doing.
So if anything, it's maybe, is that pathway well announced? Is there a lot of awareness around this? Do projects know that this pipeline exists for, essentially not even customer discovery, but like community discovery, and this expanded discussion on what Aavegotchi is all about? Because we're going through this right now with Perion DAO, so we can discuss them like a case study, and it's a live one right now that anybody's welcome to get involved in. So Lost Local meets individual out in the field, because Lost Local does all of his events and his networking, and he's very active and he's always meeting people. But he comes out of, I think it was I forget which event it was at, but he met this fella from Perion DAO, and he has what he feels like is a lead. So he brings that lead to somebody in the community. At this point, I'm the one that picked it up. Said, okay, tell me about it. What's the deal? Okay, here's what Perion DAO does. Let's schedule a call. Let's get you in there. Let's get you understanding it, because you can explain Aavegotchi DAO and the mechanics and all the crazy depth of it better than me right now. So you can just take care of, oh, okay, well, what do you want to get into Aavegotchi about? And help mature them into understanding. And that's not something that I would want to do as a dedicated role for Pixelcraft and or Aavegotchi DAO. I think that that should be something that any of us can do, because there's so many of us that do understand like good onboarding to this project. And so like you were mentioning there, Coder Dan, about like a DAO sponsor almost. It's like showing up to the party and just getting paired with somebody who's like, hey, I'm on duty, I'm available to usher. And so someone shows up and says, hey, we're interested in hearing more about this. We want to figure out how to get involved with Aavegotchi. It's cool to, for me at least, to think that the community members, almost like Uber drivers, can be watching for these opportunities and step up and be like, hey, I'll take that. I'll take that lead. I'll talk to that guy. And I'll go to their first DAO call and I'll figure out what they're about and I'll explain Aavegotchi to them and I'll discover the synergy potentials and create a value prop even. And then like usher this in. I'd love to see it go all the way to the point where that individual actor has created the DAO discussion topic inside of our DAO and presented this individual prospect to the community and kind of laid out the groundwork so that now a meaningful discussion can actually occur, opposed to just like this aloof interest.
Yeah, I would say I guess like the ultimate, because like Musashi was saying, they have this like this tiered system where the hunter gets a portion of the bounty for a product that gets developed. I guess in our situation or our case, it might not necessarily be a financial transaction between us and this partner. So what you could probably do is like if it gets to a sick prop and it meets quorum, like that's pretty much as far as as this partner could take it. Obviously it'd be great to have core prop too, but if something that they do actually causes change in the DAO, that would be like one way to reward them, the hunter kind of. But at the same time, like not every partnership is going to require a sig prop. It could just be something that is done like offline. So we have a lot of different. There's a lot of different avenues for partnerships. It's not really like one size fits all.
So there you go. You know, lots to discuss there, but in general, at least related to your initial topic of discussion there, Hefe, that's what I think is going to be the first initial wave of effort applied to this BD development situation. Truth be told, you know, a shout out to Lost Local, because he sees this as an opportunity for community members to get their hands dirty and to get involved. We have this resource of a DAO. And so it's not like a shirking of responsibility. It's not a leveraging, of low labor. It's like an opportunity for us to participate. And collectively, we all know way more people than Jason does on his own, even though he does know a lot. And so this is a good idea, and it's cool to see a Pixelcraft member being the one that's like, hey, DAO, y'all should get in on this. Yeah. So I'm interested to see how we can mature opportunities for community members to get rewards and recognition.
Yeah, well said.
Exciting. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
So that's good. Good final thoughts there, McCallum. Just kind of wrapping up the call here. I did get a chance to listen to the Aavegotchi protocol community call yesterday, and they kind of went through where they're at, where their heads are at with the whole Aavegotchi thing. They had a bunch of questions that were posed to their team. Gotchi Vault came up a bunch of times. Aavegotchi DAO came up a couple times. From the call, it seems like they think that they're waiting on us to make some sort of a decision to move these funds. So I reached out to the individual who posted the call just to ask him, where their heads are at, to make sure we're on the same page. Because my impression was they were going to post a proposal in our DAO to reclaim their funds.
100%.
But on the call, they mentioned Aavegotchi DAO has not decided yet what they're going to do with the funds. That's what they said on the call.
Oh Lord.
So I don't know what was lost in translation there, but I thought we had asked for them to come to our DAO, post a proposal to reclaim their funds. Our DAO would vote for it, and then we would, as a matter of process, we would then, upon passing, take it from the Treasury, pass it back, right? But no, I mean, during the call, it was like, well, Aavegotchi DAO hasn't really decided what they're doing with the funds yet, so we're waiting on them. And so, we need to get some clarity around that. I want to make sure that their team is on the same page, that they know they have an action.
This is just my take, right? But it's nothing lost in translation. This almost is obscured in translation.
Yeah.
They're doing a really good job of hiding on both sides of the mirror. So yeah, we can definitely help clarify this messaging because it was left quite clear. And there's follow-up in their community about the action path. There's been private conversation with community members over there about the action path. And so yeah, that's blatantly incorrect and falsely.
Like they need to do some sort of KYC as well, because the foundation can't just be sending these funds to a random blockchain address without knowing who's receiving them. Yeah, they need to show themselves. So see if they're willing to do that. Because if they're not, then it's like, where do these funds go? They can't just. We did reach out, and Ross has been looking into like a trusted third party. Even some guys at Polygon were asking their legal if they were able to do that, but I think their legals probably said, like, nah, you can't really do that.
Stay out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, someone asked that.
There actually are no services that do that they've found.
You hear that, builders? There's your market advantage.
Holding these kind of funds. No, it's not. It's a weird opportunity.
Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. We'll have to see what they're willing to do, but just to get it on the recording here, Aavegotchi DAO is 100% willing to get these funds the hell out of our treasury because we do not want them in there. Y'all need to post a proposal to reclaim your funds, and there's a KYC process. And so, yeah.
I'll snip that, and we'll get that circulated.
Yeah. But I got nothing else here for today. Does anyone else up here have anything they would like to add? Coder Dan, T-Bird, Mycalum, Roxiano?
I just want to give a quick update on the kinship burning. I know everyone has been waiting for that. It's taking longer than we had hoped, mainly because all of the Gotchi lending integration is pretty complicated, and it ended up there's a lot of like subgraph work that needs to be done as well to integrate that. So every time we update the subgraph, it takes like 8 days to sync. And if we interrupt it, it has to start resyncing. So I think this is the week where they're going to be kicking off the subgraph to start syncing. And, within 8 to 12 days, it'll be complete. So yeah, the reason it's taking this long again is because we had to add in that permission, I guess, the true or false kind of permission for whether or not a already borrowed Gotchi could channel. So because we had to add that permission, and we have to basically update the entire flow of Gotchi lending.
Get all your channeling in now, guys.
Yeah. That's right.
But it is worth mentioning, I mean, with rarity farming coming, I would like to have this feature done by rarity farming. It seems like they go well with each other. So that is kind of another dependency if we wanted to have this feature done in time for rarity farming. I wouldn't really want to delay rarity farming because it's not done. But at the same time, the whole point of it was to kind of like shake up the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone here in attendance have any thoughts on that. I do see Choina and Grim saying one deadline they don't mind us missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no other updates from our side at the moment.
All right.
I got just this shameless self-plug here for us real quick. Let me just drop the link in the chat.
Fake Fest.
Because what do we got coming up Saturday? We got Fake Fest coming up Saturday.
Yeah.
How do I make Fake Fest a DAO discussion? Fake Fest is going to revitalize a lot of community interest and engagement and awareness of how the Fake Gotchi platform is doing and how it's a badass tool in a lot of different ways. And so there are actually DAO discussions that we're going to need to have about making sure that the right rewards and recognition are being placed on these participants, because Fake Gotchis is awesome. So come to Fake Fest. You'll dig it. It's going to be fun. It'll be directly after the community call this coming Saturday. You still got time to get work into the queue. And that's my parting words for you today, friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be putting something into the queue today.
Nice. The queue is about to get fired up again. It's been good. The queue's been good.
Yeah, super excited for Fig Fest.
Yep.
Well, friends, this was a great DAO call. And, be sure to get materials out for next week's call. I'll also do some outreach. We do have a DAO hosting group. So if you would like to host DAO meetings and you would like to be up here with these folks, please reach out to me and I'll make sure I get you added to the DAO host group. And we'll have a little working group there for DAO hosts that are interested in coming up and taking part in this. So, yeah, that's what I got for this week. And wish y'all have a good week. If we don't see you throughout the week, yeah, I got nothing else.
Great. Thank you so much, Hefe.
Of course. Y'all take care. We'll
Yes,
see you
thank
soon.
you. Yeah.
See you, friends. Have a great Sunday.
Love
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Have a great
Memorial
Sunday.
Weekend. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Peace.
Have a great week, all.